He's right there.
This episode of the Bucktails Podcast is presented by Pistol Creek, for those who enjoy the journey as much as the destination. Thank you for listening.
Pick his head up. Yeah. Look at that. Woo. Good deer, babe.
Hello and welcome back to the Bucktails Podcast. This is your host, Eli Self. I've got with me today Andre Airich. So I live in Dahlonega, from Dahlonega, and I met Andre through Trip Sporting Goods. We're sitting in the parking lot right now recording this in the mobile recording studio. But Andre went to UNG, played baseball at UNG with a buddy of mine, Caleb Copeland, who runs the Redneck Tech podcast and also Copeland Creative. He's hunted with a lot of big names in the industry. But that's how I met Andre. So I've known him as a friend for how long ago were you in college?
Been about 2006, 7?
06, so yeah, 13, 14 years, so a while.
A while.
So that's kind of how I know Andre. But I've got Andre on here today because of he killed, some would say, a local legend of a buck last year. I saw pictures of this come through, and I'd never seen anything this big of anything local. But it was, I didn't know if it was going to be 170, 180, 150, 160. Once it gets that big, I have no idea. So, but again, this is a deer that word spread like wildfire. Oh, did you hear the 200-inch deer that got killed? It was massive. I heard it was over by so-and-so's house. I heard so-and-so killed it. You hear 15 different stories about where this deer came from. Oh, it was ran over. He didn't kill it. You hear crazy stories. But, it's a deer of dreams. And if you follow the Facebook page, you may have already seen, I posted one picture of it, and I'll post a few more that Andre sent me. But that's why I had him on here, because this is just an incredible buck of a lifetime. I think he said it scored, 168?
167 and 5/8, I
160, 167 and 5/8, and that was as a non-typical, and you said as a typical.
Yeah, that's the gross, and then 161 and 7/8 net as a non, and 145 and 7/8 as a typical.
Right, so that is a giant. So in North Georgia, here in the mountains, if you kill a deer that is over 110 inches, it's, people think that's a big deer. So 110, 120, those are big deer. So getting it into the 160s gross is absolutely unheard of. So to you, Andre, how did you get started hunting? And then once you introduce or tell me about that, then you can go ahead and go into the story there.
I other than shooting birds with my Red Ryder in Roswell, Caleb Copeland kind of got me into it, started taking me out, and we'd go every chance we got between baseball and anything else we did, and started shooting skeet every Monday on our days off, and just kind of hunted as much as we could. And that's kind of when he started filming. I was one of his anywhere we went, we'd have a camera, and he'd be doing interviews, which I still hate to this day. So,
well, he had something, what was it called, Dead Right There?
Yep.
DRT?
Yep.
They had it old.
Kind of started that with Daniel and Nathan, and that kind of just turned into what it is today, I guess, for him.
Yeah. So on that deer, just tell me about the setup. What kind of land was it? Public, private?
So it's public or private land. I've hunted there since about 2008, but really started putting time in once baseball was over. Food plots, hanging stands, running cameras, which I run them 365 days a year. And then we killed a couple little bucks and just kind of got into it. I mean, I've only killed about 10 in my life, so still new to it and enjoy it no matter what the size is. And started watching some on camera, and, they get big being smart, and that one just got big. We watched him for about 4 years. Found one of his sheds the year before. My wife was pregnant, and we found the shed, and that was kind of a sign that we were going to have a boy.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. When we scored the shed, if you matched it, it would have been about 140. So that was pretty cool to find a good shed like that.
Yeah, I've never found any big sheds.
Yeah, me neither. It was just laying there glowing in the sunlight, but it's pretty cool.
Nice. Well, yeah, back to on the camera thing, that's a big part of why I hunt or why I enjoy hunting is we have hunting land in Wilkes County, and we'll run cameras, pretty much year round. But down there, I feel like they're all nocturnal. It's like they know our schedule. They know exactly when to come in, when to, you can't really track them down. I've got a buck I've been watching down there for a couple of years now, and he was an 8 last year and he's a 9 this year, but fairly typical. And he'll probably. He might score in the 120s, maybe, but it'd be a big deer for me. I think he's fairly old, but no, watching him on camera, that just gets your heart going. You're like, I have no idea that was here, and there's no way you would know they're there
right
without the camera. So
even with cameras though, we've got 8 out, and you'll go sit in the stand and you'll see one just skirt the camera or one you've never had on camera all the time. Like you can't even rely on the cameras.
Yeah, it's a neat aspect of hunting nowadays. The future, technology is everywhere, but definitely it makes it more fun. Or it adds another twist to it, I guess.
Yeah, we go about every couple of days just to pull cards. We enjoy doing it.
Cool. So tell me about the deer. Just kind of the morning, the day before the hunt. Why'd you go hunting that day? Just as much detail as you want to go into on that.
So I had gone to Elberton the weekend before. Ended up killing it on a Thursday, but hunted that Sunday morning, saw a good buck, and just didn't shoot because it's a buddy's property and I just want to shoot a monster there. And then came back home and I was like, I'm gonna go sit in the woods here, and found a good spot, hung my stand in a spot where I've always wanted to hang one. I took a climber, went in there, hung it. It's a little pinch point between the house and a field, and had some kind of skirt the field a little bit, saw a buck, and then had one in front of me kind of just stayed just where I couldn't see it. And to me, I was like, well, that's got to be a good one. This buck we had on camera maybe once every 2 weeks, but we knew he was around, just didn't know exactly where. And went home, wanted to go every night, but with work and it getting dark at 6, it's kind of hard to get off work, get in the wood, shower, get in the woods and all that. But this day I was in Talking Rock and got off a little early, got home as fast as I could and showered. And my wife was like, you need to go hunt. I was like, all right, you sure you don't want to go? And our neighbor had just gotten there and she's like, no, you go ahead. So I was like, all right, see ya. Got out and pulled up. Went in, got in about 4, and then I had bought a camera that morning and found a rub on the way in, set it up, and right at about last light, it was 5:47, I want to say.
Okay.
I didn't see, I had one come up that, I couldn't really tell what it was.
Yeah.
And then, right when you make your mind up that your hunt's over that evening, it was like, shh, right behind me. And I turn around and you could just see, I couldn't count the points or anything, but I could see the mass. Yeah. And he was about 25 yards. And I couldn't really believe what was going on. I was like, that's the only deer I have on camera that has mass like that. Right. So that's got to be him.
Has to be him.
And put my binoculars down and he turned and looked and I was like, here we go. And he took 2 steps and I turned and just shot him at about 25 yards. And he took off running and, I could hear him sliding down the hill, but that was it. So I sat there and didn't really know what to do at that point. And,
I would have been afraid I would have fallen out of that climber. Climbing down a ladder is tough enough, but down a climber, I would have dropped the bottom or I'd have been like, someone's going to bring a ladder and get me out of this tree.
Yeah,
I'm stuck.
Then it started raining, so I was like, oh, no. So I went ahead, called Megan, told her I shot him. I think, I heard other deer run off, so then I was like, well, then you start playing through your mind. Well, I missed him. How good was my shot? Where did I hit him? Where's he going? He's crossed the property line. All that's going through your mind. So I get down, find where I shoot him, and track him down. No blood, just I can see where he's kind of like skirting down the side of this mountain and sliding. And I can find where he hit a tree, and I saw him go down, run into the tree and kind of go down, but I didn't find any blood. So I called my wife and told her, and I pretty much started crying. I was like, I can't find any blood. I don't know what to do. And it's still raining, so I just back out. And I was like, I'll go back in a little bit. If I shot him where I should have shot him, everything will be fine, and he shouldn't be far. But backed out, waited about an hour and a half, 2 hours, as long as I could wait. I was like, I can't. Caleb came, Trevor came, Megan's brother Jared came, and we were all just kind of sitting there, and I was like, let's go now. Megan wasn't able to come because we had our son Asher, and he was asleep, so she was disappointed and kind of upset that she wasn't there to help recover him, but ended up going back and didn't find any blood, but kept following where he was kind of tripping and, taking leaves with him, and he ended up going about 60 yards, and that was it.
I bet that 60 yards felt like a mile, too.
It did.
I've said this on a previous podcast, I think, with Evan. I was like, I love tracking deer, but I hate tracking mine.
Yeah.
That is I cannot stand it. And I couldn't imagine on a buck that big, like you said, he couldn't find blood. I'm like, well, crap, did I scare him? Was he just stumbling, trying to get away from me?
Right.
Did I even hit him? But, oh my gosh,
Well, I didn't even know. I mean, we knew he was big, but I didn't know he was that big. I mean, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we had him on camera, and it was the day after Thanksgiving, and we came back, and we walked in. We were in Alabama, and we came back, so our time was an hour off. Mm-hmm. And we checked our camera on the way out, and that deer was there an hour before it was like a picture of that deer, us walking in.
Wow.
Then the next year, we never really saw him. It was always, we'd be at this camera, or this stand, he's on this camera. Pretty much watch us walk out all the time. Just, it was a big game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And, he added those kickers and a bunch of masks.
Yeah, so how many points total was he?
It was 13.
13 points. That is insane. But mainframe?
Mainframe 10 with 3 kickers on the left side.
10, 3 kickers. That's incredible. So, you talked a little bit about your stand setup. You're hunting a pinch point. Was it like a field, a food plot, acorns?
It was just a little ridge line between. We clear cut some trees, but they just kind of got left there, so I knew they weren't going to hike over them. And then it was a small little field where they were coming up, so it was about maybe 80 to 100 yards wide, but kind of thick, all oak trees. And
gotcha. Okay. Were there acorns falling? Like what time of year was it? What month was it?
I think November 10th, somewhere around November 10th, 17th, somewhere in there.
So right there around pre-rut, getting close to North Georgia. Usually, it's the week of Thanksgiving is usually a time where deer, the bucks will be rutting around here. So a little pre-rut, but you said there were a few deer with him?
Well, he came in, so I checked my camera. I only saw one deer. We'll just say if the one I shot would have been the second deer I saw, assuming he snuck in around, circled back. I really don't know. I put a little scent out walking in and didn't really. I mean, you always hope and pray that you'd see one or shoot one like that.
Right.
It was. I'm looking for a picture of what day it was. But that camera that I had set up on my way in, he posed for it right before he got shot. So I guess that was his scrape or his rub and scrape, and just everything happened to work out right that day.
Wow.
So that was.
So that's before you shot him?
No, that's just a picture of him. But
so he's scrolling through his phone right now, looking for a picture of him, trying to find the exact date. So a couple more detail-oriented questions, and this is, some people might enjoy this, some people might
November
not.
14th.
November 14th.
So this was the picture, which I can send to you if you want.
Yeah, send that to me and I'll post that. That'd be cool.
Kind of a cool picture to have right before.
Yeah, for sure. So again, some of the specifics that some people might enjoy. I know I would enjoy this. People always ask, what kind of caliber, what kind of gun should I use? Well, this is whatever gun he was using, guaranteed to kill a 168-inch deer or 167-inch deer. So what kind of gun do you use? What caliber?
So I actually took my wife's when we got together. She never had her own rifle, so I wanted to get her one. So I got her a Tikka Compact 7mm 08.
Okay.
So it's enough to do the job.
Oh yeah,
so
that's
it's
the same.
Awesome gun.
Yeah, that's the same caliber that my wife uses. My dad uses it a lot. My brother hunts with a 7mm 08. Good flat shooting gun. No, I love that round. A lot of powder and 7mm, plenty big enough of a bullet. On that note, some people think that they need to use like a 300 Win Mag or these Ultra Mag rounds, and then they'll still have to track a deer forever. And I feel like, just to an extent, if you're killing a deer, 50 yards and under especially, I feel like it blows through them, and the bullet is moving so fast it doesn't have time to mushroom out.
Right.
But like a 7mm 08, it's not too overpowered, but it's still fine for long range too. But
right,
that's awesome.
So my wife has shot one at about 270, 280 yards with it.
Wow.
And it dropped, which was the biggest deer. When she killed it, it was the biggest deer that we had seen and taken off that property. So it was pretty cool. Had 24-inch main beams.
Dang.
Kind of just a cool deer.
Yeah.
Cool old deer.
Awesome. Well, heck, we may have to get you on there, get her on here.
Yeah.
For a story. We can do, y'all can both get on here. But some more specifics. What you said it was a climber, but what kind of stand are you hunting out of?
So that climber was given to me by somebody I work with. So it's just a game winner from Academy that he bought and never used. And he was moving and was like, "Do you want it?" I was like, "Sure." So I've been fortunate. A lot of my stuff's been given to me. Caleb's given me a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Just, I always like free stuff. So
yeah, no, for sure. Me too. That's, some people that you got to spend $300 on a Summit Viper, the nicest, top of the line, but it really doesn't. As long as you're up in the tree and you're not going to fall out, then it's going to get the job done. Obviously. Yeah. Are you a specific kind of camo kind of person, or do you wear blue jeans and a flannel? Or
I wear camo. A lot of the stuff I buy is in the season that's cheap and
whatever's on sale,
marked down, and we wear it for a couple years and just whatever. Nothing. I mean, I wish I could say I was one or the other, but whatever. Just camouflage.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't make you shoot them any bigger.
Oh no, I'm kind of a camo snob. I like the bottomland. That's heck, I think everybody in the country likes mossy oak bottomland.
Yeah.
But I'm not sponsored by anybody, so it really doesn't matter.
Right.
Like you said, I think if you're still, I could be wearing khakis and a polo and kill a deer just fine.
Right. That's what I'll be wearing here in a little bit when I go to the woods.
Yeah. And last, I guess, specific question I want to ask is, what kind of camera do you use trail cam? Is it a cell cam or?
I haven't invested in any cell cams yet, just because we have a bunch of bears and I've lost a couple,
Gotcha.
2 bears. So, I've got 3 or 4 Brownings. I've got some Moultries. I've got some wild game ones. But I would say that I like the Browning the best personally. I've got some that have been in the woods 4 or 5 years straight. Don't have any issues with them.
Right.
Some of the other ones I get, you find them for $40-$50. Seems like a good deal, but they only last a year, a season. It's not.
Right. Yeah, that's the same here. I've converted to all Browning. I've got 3 or 4, I think. I don't have a whole lot, but yeah, same way. I've had a couple that have gotten messed up, but the only way that a Browning has messed up on me is another guy in our club pulled a card from my camera because he thought he might have gotten a shot from a deer they'd shot at on camera, and he left it on, pulled the card out, and didn't even shut the front of it back.
Yeah. So
it ruined it. But that's not Browning's fault. Otherwise, they're clear.
Yeah.
Great night pictures. The videos are clear.
Yeah.
But
they're worth it.
Oh, for sure. I love the Brownings. But yeah, I think that's about all I can think of detail wise to get in there. But thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me
and sharing about local legend. Yeah. I think you've become one. Some people
know.
Some people know who you are, and some people I'm sure your picture is still spread around,
Yeah.
daily to people in this county. Like I said, the 120-inch deer around here is a giant to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So when they see that one, they're like, "Oh, there's no way."
Yeah.
They want to deny there's no way that happened here, but no,
the stars
it did.
aligned. The Lord blessed me that day,
well,
and the stars aligned. There was a lot of luck. I mean, you pray every time you get in the stand, and you're like hoping for a big one, and that just usually when you kill one, everything just seems to be right that day. It's just how it is.
Yeah, well, it is not refreshing, but sometimes it's nice to go in there and just be completely lucky, no history with a deer.
Yeah.
Bam, lay him down. You're like, wow, that was insane. Had no idea he was there. But with you, 3 years of history, you had him on camera. You had cat and mouse the year before when he was about 140.
Yeah.
And then it just worked out perfectly. You had a newborn. How old was your son?
He's a year and a month now.
So he would be just a couple months old.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy.
their stars aligned.
It really did. I mean, that's just how it happened.
And then 25-yard shot, too. It wasn't like, I had to stand on my head and around the tree and shoot him upside down.
Right.
Like 25 yards.
I mean, right place, right time, right everything. So,
all right. Well, thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thank you.
So, kind of as a recap, this is a couple days after I recorded this with Andre. Once again, Andre, thank you for coming on and sharing that story. Just an incredible deer, incredible story. I love the history behind that buck. But kind of as a follow-up, Daniel Tritt actually has a video of when Andre brought the deer up to Tritt Sporting Goods the morning after he killed it. The video is on Daniel's YouTube channel. I think it's under Daniel Tritt's name. And then the video name is Andre's Giant. And the video just shows almost a rite of passage tradition here in Dahlonega. If people kill a buck or someone kills a deer, one of the first stops they make is to Tritt's. And it shows just family, community, his wife's up there, family and friends are all gathered around a truck bed, just, marveling over this buck. And Daniel scores it for him, a quick little, a gross score. And you just see the excitement, sheer excitement from everybody there. Just a neat video from Daniel. Go check out his YouTube channel. He has all kinds of great videos on there. But I really like how it really encompasses the small town hunting scene. You kill a deer, you take it to town, you show it off, you revel in it with everybody that you know and love. Just a really neat deal. So thanks again for listening to the Bucktails Podcast. The Bucktails Podcast, brought to you in part by Tritt Sporting Goods in Dahlonega, Georgia.